I believe that when she's crying, it's genuine. I don't have feelings attached to those moments that she's crying, except for the fact that she needs a really good spritz of Afrin because I can hear that she can't breathe, and it makes me really anxious when she cries because she cannot breathe. And honestly, that's the only thing I can think about when Gabbie cries. Hey there. I got thoughts. Of course I've got thoughts. You know I've got thoughts. You love me, you hate me, you know I've got thoughts when it comes to Gabbie Hanna. No, this is a very serious situation, though I can't promise that I will always stay serious in serious situations. That's... Welcome to the AA life, baby, where we pepper in distasteful jokes in serious scenarios. I'm going to try not to do that, but I should give a content warning because holy crap, I just thought about content warnings and I never do at the beginning of my video. So, that's me trying to think of what to warn you about. For sure, you know that we're going to be talking about SA. Not in detail, but we're going to be mentioning it because that really is the issue at the heart of all of this Jessi and Gabbie stuff. Other than that, I don't think there are any other content warnings that I do need to give you. So I just want to jump right in and let you know that, like I said, I've got thoughts. Jessi finally released a video in which she really kind of went into detail about all of the crap that Gabbie has been saying about her online for the past almost 2 years now, if we're looking back at Herpygate of 2019. And because I have so many thoughts on all of this, and because you guys deserve an extra video, and I failed to give you one earlier in the week, this is likely going to be a two-parter. You are likely going to see this look twice in a row. So I hope you like it. If not, sorry. No, I'm not, because I like it, and I'm comfortable, dude. Anyway, I don't know why I am. Stop being so silly. We're about to talk about things that really upset us. We're about to talk about things that really piss me off. And really the only place I know to start is to just look at my notes that I took while watching Jessi's video a second time. And I just think that most of you probably realize and know that the story about Gabbie and Jessi is really just kind of all over the place. You know, I could break this down and try to put things into a pretty packaged little timeline, but even putting things on a timeline wouldn't necessarily organize these thoughts optimally. So I want to look at some of the things that Jessi noted in her video, as well as some other things that I've picked up on that I just really want to talk about when it comes to the friendship between Jessi and Gabbie. And honestly, their friendship wasn't so much the issue, but it was whatever the bigger word is for enemies. The falling out of Jessi and Gabbie, the contentious relationship they've had ever since they fell out, but also before they were even friends. It's messy and it's dramatic. Yes, Gabbie, I called a friendship of yours messy. If you don't know what that reference was, that was Gabbie on the phone with me telling me not to use the word messy when talking to or about her, because do you know how many times I've been accused of having messy friendships and being messy in relationships with people? Well, guess what, Gabbie? You're messy. You're messy in friendships. You're messy in relationships. And you're proving that with this series, this 13-part series that is probably at like 20 parts right now. I just want to call out some things that I haven't heard people call out. How many parts are we at right now of this 13-part series? So far, we've seen, I think, 3 or 4 videos dedicated just to Trisha Paytas. 3 or 4 videos that we know of about Jessi being included in this series. Because yes, I do include the unlisted videos that Gabbie puts in these videos. So we heard the 3-hour call. I listened to the whole thing. I knew about some of the high points just from knowing Jessi and dealing with this situation over the past year. But there were some things even in that video, that call, that, caught me by surprise and really, really royally upset me. Because a couple of those things had to do with me. And I may talk about some of that. But I first want to take a moment to commend Jessi for making this video. I know that she tinkered with the idea of doing this last year, and it has been way too stressful for her. I believe she's been very honest with us about that. And it wasn't until recently that she was able to muster the courage to film, edit, and release this video. And I'm so proud. I don't want to sound condescending, like I'm so proud of you, girl, but I am proud of you, girl. I'm proud of you because this is a video that I think was long overdue. I think this video spoke to a lot of things that people have been saying, wondering. Here's the thing. You want to talk about gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss. Gabbie Hanna has been gaslighting her audience, us, the people who are aware of her existence on the internet, has been gaslighting the audience on all of these issues surrounding Jessi Smiles and specifically Gabbie's relationship with Curtis Lepore. I believe there are a lot of things that we have felt was off. We have kind of put some pieces together here and there. We've wondered about a lot of things, and every single step of the way, when the audience comes to some sort of conclusion that is logical, Gabbie shuts that down. And what Jessi did with her video was present things in a way that fucking makes sense, honestly. So thank you. Thank you, Jessi Smiles. Hashtag apologize to Jessi Smiles, and also hashtag justice for Jessi. So I don't know, like I said, really how to transition into this. This is just kind of a story that's all over the place. So I'm just going to be addressing things here and there. And it's just going to be very random and not very smooth. But Jessi also addressed a really important point, and I'm so glad that she did. She talked about how several people have told her not to talk about this anymore. I mean, there are plenty of shitty people who are telling Jessi not to talk about this anymore because they think that she's weaponizing her own story, her own trauma, or something like that. Just the bullshit. Just like Jessi points out to Gabbie, that Gabbie thinks that people are just using their emotions to manipulate other people, which is funny because that's one of the things that she complains about other people saying about her when she gets emotional. But she also pointed out that there are people with seemingly good intentions that are telling her to stop talking about this because Gabbie wants attention and you're giving her that attention. And Jessi notes, maybe I am giving Gabbie what she wants, but this is her trauma to talk about. And I think that is the most important part, right? You guys already know that. This is Jessi's trauma to talk about, and she can talk about it till the cows come home. Now, we, as the consumers, can decide whether or not we consume that content. And it could be that Jessi talks about this so much that she loses her entire audience because they get bored of hearing it. That's a possibility. And of course, I'm not talking specifically about Jessi at this point. I'm talking about anybody who wants to talk about anything that's important to them. And yes, if you're wondering, I am thinking about myself too, and the hate mob that Gabbie Hanna sent to me a year ago. And all the people that have told me to stop talking about it, whether it be because they don't like me and they're telling me to stop weaponizing this thing that was very traumatic, or because they do like me and they say the same thing. Gabbie wants attention, you're giving it to her, blah, blah, blah. I was very grateful to open my inbox today and to read an email in which one of my viewers told me, do not stop talking about this. What Gabbie wants is for you to stop talking about this, so continue to do so as much as you need to do so. And holy shit, how much did I appreciate that email to you, the one person who wrote that email who's not me. I love you, dude. Thank you for that email. But I think the sentiment applies to Jessi as well. There are certain things, there are certain almost isms that people attribute to Gabbie Hanna because they attribute those isms to everyone like Gabbie that ever lived. And I just don't think that all of the theories and speculations and hypotheses and readings of Gabbie Hanna that people make, I don't think they're all true. As an example, I've heard people say that Gabbie Hanna intentionally included the photo and an article about a really unfortunate event involving a teenage girl. I've heard people say that that was intentional, that including that in her video was intentional. Disagree. Gabbie Hanna is a very, very shitty person, but I disagree. I talk about shitty people. Like I told you, we had to talk about this, about the noise. Thank you. But that doesn't mean that everything they do is calculated. And there are certain things that are calculated, in my opinion, that people are not calling out. I don't think Gabbie Hanna wants the kind of attention she's getting. I think she is going to capitalize on the attention that she can get, because at the end of the day, she's got a mortgage to pay and she's got music videos to pay for that she needs. That's not a luxury, remember? She needs those things.
My income has been cut to a third. I know people don't care because I live in a beautiful house. My income, my livelihood, my career that I've worked for 6 fucking years has been cut to a third. And I have a mortgage to pay. I have to pay for my album and my music video releases. Thank God for Patreon, which was also cut to a third for a very long time. Overnight, on the day I put out Broken Girls and then somebody put a hit piece out about me, overnight, I lost half. And then it shrunk to third within a couple weeks. That's a problem.
Nobody needs to pay for music and music videos. That's a luxury.
Oh, no, I need to. It's not a luxury for me. It is my life. I absolutely need to. If I'm not doing that, there's no point for me to be alive. I 1,000 fucking % need music and music videos and creating and expressing myself the way that I want to. I need that. And I earn that and I deserve that. So, yeah.
So, in a sense, sure, you can say that she wants the attention because she needs the attention. But Gabbie Hanna does not like being disliked. She doesn't. She absolutely hates being disliked.
Trying to think of the right thing to say, worried about what my face looks like, wondering if I'm standing okay, wondering if my clothes look stupid, wondering if I smell weird. And I'm just so fucking overthinking every move. It's so boring. God, I'm so fucking boring. Like my whole life, somebody's always been making fun of me. I can't help but be so fucking pissed at comments. And there's one that just like upset me so fucking much. Like the fucking comments, especially with like the current hate train around me right now, are just so fucking like unbearable. And I want to like snap back in the comments.
Like I never
so
take it.
sensitive.
But like that's
This is the world's most prolific pick-me girl. Come for me for saying that. This is someone who in one breath poses in front of the mirror in her underwear to let you know that she could fuck both of your parents and the one you love the most in the world, but also in another breath says that she had to attempt to have sex with her best friends or ex-best friends, ex-boyfriend, because she needed that for her self-esteem.
I didn't try to have sex with him. I said it just to know that I could. You just confirmed what I just said.
Spoiler alert. That is equally as fucked up. Sorry, but it is.
Why do you keep doing this to me and expecting me not to like respond? You're saying publicly that I tried to fuck your boyfriend. Like I've never done this to you and you're wondering why I'm cracking. Because I've tried to ignore this for years when you're publicly saying I'm trying to fuck your boyfriend. You think it's not hard for me to not want to hop in and say, well, this is why I did that. And no, I didn't try to fuck him. I just wanted to feel something good about myself and that like I had some type of my power back. It's been so hard.
Same person, same lungs, speaking those words. I think that might be in my notes later too. We'll see. Maybe I'll talk about it. Hell. So, no, I don't believe that Gabbie enjoys this kind of attention. I think she very much hates to be criticized. She very much hates to be exposed. She very much hates any sort of conversation about her that is not positive about her. She hates it. She'll tell us that she doesn't care in one moment, but then she also, again, this person who said this, and then this person acts like, oh, I want it. I want a trend. I know how to go viral. You say that because you think the monster meme was a much bigger deal than it was, but we'll let that one slide, okay? You know how to go viral, and you want to troll, and you want the attention. On the other hand, you've told us a million times that you're highly insecure, that you need people's approval, that you don't like this kind of attention, and I'm realizing now I'm getting to the point where I'm talking to the creator I'm talking about. Hi, Gabbie. She doesn't want this kind of attention. And thus, I think that those of us who want to talk about the things that she's done to fuck up, if she is never going to own that, we don't need to stop talking about it. And if any of us have trauma around any of these situations, Gabbie related or not, it's not your job to tell us to stop talking about it. It's your job to decide whether or not you're going to consume the content. So big ups to Jessi for saying that she's still going to talk about it, whether it gives Gabbie what she wants or not. So Jessi Smiles talks about a couple of these situations and mentions that some of these really big things with Gabbie happened on days that were very important in Jessi's life. Important for good reasons and bad reasons. Gabbie's return to the internet last summer, her I'm Back video, Jessi noted that video came out on Noah, Jessi's son's birthday. And so because Jessi posted to Instagram for her son's birthday, she was being barraged with all kinds of comments from Gabbie stans. And if you don't know what Gabbie stans are like in their comments, check out any of my videos because I'm obsessed. No, seriously, I've talked about those people a good bit. She also noted that I believe the day of the call, the 3-hour call, the really important call, the really emotionally exhausting call, and I can say that because to the viewer, listener, whatever you want to call us, it was emotionally exhausting. It was a lot. So imagining what that was like for either Jessi or Gabbie is too much. And for that to have been at the same time that Jessi says she was dealing with a family member being in the hospital and trying to do her part to help her family while somebody was in the hospital. Again, what an opportune time to do something like that. And I genuinely don't believe that Gabbie is timing out these things to be at bad times for Jessi. But we do hear Gabbie all the time, and I've never understood it. Gabbie talking about like something that Jessi did being at a time that will sabotage her next music release.
Until another video was made about me the week I was putting out my fucking EP. You want to ghost the internet for 5 fucking months? And then I'm promoting my project like crazy, and you're gonna put my name in your fucking thumbnail.
And I just think, like, how delusional or full of yourself do you have to be to think that Jessi gives a fuck about when Broken Girls is gonna come out? We've heard that a bunch of times. And it wasn't even that Jessi dropped like the Herpygate video, which when I refer to Herpygate, I'm talking about all the drama that happened around Gabbie and Trisha Paytas, Gabby DiMartino, Jessi Smiles, Curtis Lepore, an innocent bystanding fan of Jessi's by the name of Deanna. That's Herpygate. And Jessi did put out a video at that time that garnered a lot of views. But that's not the video that sabotaged Broken Girls. The video that sabotaged Broken Girls was a Q&A in which Jessi Smiles mentions Gabbie Hanna in the thumbnail. Not in the title, in the thumbnail. Because for however many months, Jessi's fans had been asking if Gabbie had apologized to her for all the shit that Gabbie's done to Jessi. Jessi addressed that in a video. Jessi mentioned it in the thumbnail. And Gabbie lost her fucking mind over that because it sabotaged her release of Broken Girls. And I just want to say that, are we buying that? Is anybody buying that? Or is it possible that Gabbie's music is just not as successful as she wants to believe it should be? That if Broken Girls doesn't perform well, then it must be because Jessi sabotaged her by putting her name in a thumbnail in a Q&A. If Special doesn't hit 1 million views, it must be because YouTube is shadow banning her. So on and so forth. It's funny because Gabbie does enough to create drama around her platform when she is releasing music so that her views are up. So girl, whatever is sabotaging your releases, you're also countering with inorganic promotion. It's not real promotion, it's drama. And your views are still down. I'm not trying to kick you, but while your views are down, but come to grips with reality, girl. Come on. The reason I pointed that out is because it sticks out in my mind when Gabbie says that people are doing this and that on these certain days to sabotage whatever release or whatever. There's a book release complaint as well, now that I'm thinking, it's just off the top of my head. There's always some sort of so-and-so is sabotaging my release of whatever sort, when I genuinely don't believe that these people keep track of when these release dates are. Just like Gabbie Hanna said that I thought a song lyric she wrote was about me, I don't know her song lyrics, or their release dates. And I don't think that these people know that either. I don't think these people keep track of that sort of stuff either. I don't think these people give a fuck, honestly. This is a super quick reminder to like this video and subscribe to my channel if that's something you want to do. If that's not something you want to do, just don't. I'll shut up and start talking now. But of course, this video focused heavily on, like I said, the relationship between Gabbie Hanna and Curtis Lepore. At the beginning of Jessi's video, she included several clips of things that Gabbie has said about the situation. And Gabbie has said, I've never collabed with Curtis Lepore. I've never publicly defended Curtis Lepore.
I have never collabed with Jessi's rapist. I did not stop being friends with Jessi so that I could be friends with her rapist. Jessi ended our friendship. I've never, ever publicly defended Jessi's rapist.
Why you always lying?
I would have never collabed with Curtis, even if I fucking wanted to. I would never in a million years choose him over her.
Oh my God.
And I would never and have never defended him.
Stop fucking lying.
She also said that a photo existed of them together, one Snapchat photo that Curtis took in bad faith. Then that became 2 Snapchat photos. No, 3 Snapchat photos, because there were photos of Gabbie and Zayn Hijazi at a restaurant that Curtis posted. And it's just interesting, and we'll see as the story unfolds how it starts to change, how these details change here and there. And I think sometimes if you pay attention, you catch Gabbie in the moment. You catch Gabbie correcting herself. And I want to talk a little bit more about how she uses wording. I'll get to that at some point. But one thing that Jessi put in her video that I don't know how many people noticed, but it was Gabbie during one of her live streams during the whole Shadowban fiasco, where she talks about the Curtis Lepore situation, and she says, something defended, left my best friend for her rapist.
All the responses are, this girl is a rape apologist and she defended, she left her best friend for her best friend's rapist.
And that moment I was like, oh my God, holy shit. Gabbie corrected herself from saying defended to left her best friend. She made that correction really quickly. And it's important because, spoiler alert, Gabbie Hanna did defend Curtis Lepore at some point. I would argue at more than one point, but definitely at least at one point, and we're going to talk about it. What I hated was Gabbie saying of Jessi about the call that Gabbie had to record the call as well because she knew that Jessi, being in a one-party consent state, Gabbie, because she's so quick on her feet, she's so smart, so sharp, so intellectual. Actually, in this area, I think she is. She's very smart when it comes to like how people could betray and ruin other people because she thrives on that kind of behavior. That is her MO.
Jessi was looking for any moment that she possibly could so that she could get emotional on the call because she was filming it and she always knew she was going to post it. I know Jessi well enough. I asked for consent to record in case a situation like this happened where she tried to manipulate 7 minutes out of a 3-hour phone call to make me look bad. It was just a deflection on the phone call. She needed a reason to get upset.
Whatever she claims to have predicted in Jessi, I think was either bullshit, she didn't predict that, or 2, it's something that she would have done. And so she was preparing for what she would have done. She says that it's because Jessi is a predictable and obvious person, or she's a predictable person, and it was obvious that she was going to not only record this phone call, but to record herself being emotional, and also knowing that she was going to get emotional on the call so that she could use it as content. Not that Jessi got emotional and then used it as content. Gabbie claimed that she got emotional to use as content. And for somebody who cares so much about how we word things, I think that is a really important semantic to note. But then that begs the question, why did Jessi wait till a year later to release those phone call clips? If it was so obvious that she wanted to use that as content, and Jessi said the same thing, she would have uploaded it to her YouTube channel right away if she really wanted to do that. Something had to have happened between last year and now to have prompted Jessi to put those clips out. And of course, we can't know about hypotheticals, but if Gabbie hadn't given Jessi any reason to talk about her, to put any videos out about her, etc., then those phone call clips probably would have stayed locked away wherever they were for the past year and for however long. Oliver's puking right outside the door. I'm not the first to point out that Gabbie accused Jessi of trying to evoke an emotional response from the audience, essentially manipulating the audience with emotion. That Jessi filmed that phone call with the intention of being emotional to evoke a response out of the audience. That's what Jessi's crying meant. She also did the same shit when she said that Deanna, we mentioned Deanna being the fan of Jessi who, Gabbie divulged way too much information to in DMs. And also, it's so important to note how egregiously Gabbie gaslit Deanna. Let's talk about that for a moment. Because, Gabbie, I'm sorry, I don't have verbatim in front of me. But the sentiment is true in all of these situations where I am not saying something verbatim, and that is something that you can admit to, is that these sentiments were there. Deanna said something to the effect of, in a tweet, Gabbie Hanna sided with Jessi's rapist at one point, and I just can't forget that fact. And in these DMs where Gabbie's like, please show me where that, you know what? It's just hitting me. Gabbie was begging Deanna to please show me where that evidence is, where that proof is or whatever, because I think she wanted to try to scrub that from the internet. Because she told, Deanna swore on her grandfather's grave. She talked about her grandfather who passed away. She swore on his grave that she saw that tweet. And Gabbie convinced her that that was a false memory. And she went into that conversation prepared to do that because she said, show it to me, show the proof to me, and if it's there, it's fake. Well, there's your answer. There's no need, because if it is there, it's fake. And this person's memory that was correct, you gaslit into believing that she lost her mind over her grandfather's grave. And Gabbie accused her of bringing that up. She said in the phone call something, the sentiment, Gabbie, not verbatim, the sentiment that Deanna brought up her grandfather to garner sympathy from you. God, I'm so sick of this. Because then you're talking about the person that turns right around, and I'm not even going to say anything about when Gabbie cries in her videos. I believe that when she's crying, it's genuine. I don't have feelings attached to those moments that she's crying, except for the fact that she needs a really good spritz of Afrin because I can hear that she can't breathe, and it makes me really anxious when she cries because she cannot breathe. And honestly, that's the only thing I can think about when Gabbie cries. Sorry, that was a bit of a tangent. But anyway, I don't think even about Gabbie like, oh, you're trying to evoke emotional response out of the audience. No. But I think you do when you say things like, you were mocking my mental breakdown when people are doing TikTok dances to you being an asshole. That's what it was.
Because of what you did, you fucking narcissistic abuser piece of shit. All of them. They're narcissistic abusers. They're selfish. Fuck you. Fuck all of these people for what they've done to me. And for them to be tweeting right now, I'm playing the victim. I am the fucking victim because I'm 29 fucking years old. And I'm not going to sit down and make a video with screenshots exposing my bullies. These are bullies. These are high school fucking bullies. And they want to come at me and say, you're 29 years old, how you're acting? Fuck you. You're in your fucking 30s. Almost all of you. I'm going to show you how I'm going to let people treat me. You are narcissistic abusers. And you have been for 6 fucking years, Jessi Smiles. I have to keep that in.
No,
like,
you needed to let that off your chest.
literally
You've known
right
Anna
now,
for
I'm
many
like, can I
months.
say that? Yes, I can fucking say
You
that.
can say whatever
You
you
guys
want.
have.
People were not mocking your mental breakdown. People were mocking you being a dick to other people. You saying heinous shit about Jessi Smiles and other people and screaming your head off. That shit is so triggering to so many people. And yeah, people mocked it. People made light of something that was, hey, guess what? Abusive of you. She says shit like that. She also says, what did she say while she was eating hummus in those stories? That like, I'm not really going through anything, but if I were, it's pretty fucked up how people are treating me, right? She so needs us to treat her with kid gloves because she's either going through something, she seems like she's going through something, she had gone through something, because she has ADHD, because she's gone through this, because she's gone through that, because she's been shadow banned, because her music videos aren't getting views or whatever. Like, feel bad for Gabbie Hanna. That's what we need to do. She so wants us to feel bad for her because we don't like her. People don't like Gabbie Hanna. So what she's hoping is that people will feel bad for her. And she accuses other people of trying to do that. People that don't need to do that. Guess what? Jessi doesn't need to manipulate people into feeling bad for her, liking her, or siding with her. She's got the public support. Deanna, for as many people who know who she is, has that support as well. Don't get me wrong, your stans are assholes who try to make these people's lives a living hell. And I'm sure sometimes it feels that way for them. But in general, the public is on the side of these people. They don't need to manipulate them. They were already on their side before any crying happened. And on the note of semantics, this this one little thing just for some reason just irritates the shit out of me. And it's actually what irritates, I'm just going to be real with you guys. What irritates the shit out of me is how unintelligently Gabbie Hanna chooses words sometimes.
Care about her fucking opinion because she has no accomplishments in art or has proven to me that she's actually intellectual enough to understand art. I accept my criticism from talented, smart people, not abusive, toxic, exploitative bullies on YouTube.
In this BuzzFeed article, she says that, she's always doling out apologies. Not true, by the way. Nobody's believing that for a second. She's doling out all of these apologies and she never receives them in return. And that's a little chaotic. Why did you choose that word? Unfair? Unbalanced? Hurtful? Or any word that might be related to the term inactive, right? Because we're talking about a lack of action, inaction. This lack of action is chaotic, which is the opposite of lacking action. Just sometimes the words that she says, the phrases that she says, I'm seriously like keeping a mental list of all the shit she says that are not things.
Beep the fucking beep.
This is going to blow your gasket.
Dude, I will go down on this hill. I am so kind.
And now not receiving reciprocal apologies, being chaotic, is a thing. She's also going to go down on this hill, by the way. Another really important note that Jessi makes in her video is really kind of the importance of being public versus private with Gabbie. This is a topic we've talked about before, like on my channel, in conversations I've had. The whole private versus public thing is a really big deal to Gabbie Hanna and when dealing with Gabbie Hanna. Just on one hand, Gabbie Hanna cares so much about what's public. She cares so much about appearances that she will say hurtful shit. And if she doesn't say your name, then you don't have the right to be offended. And if she does something hurtful and you express to the public that that thing hurt you, you outed yourself because she didn't say your name publicly.
Jessi, what are you talking about? You did this. Do you not realize that you did this? Do you not truly, truly see that everything that is happening right now is a direct result of what you did in every way? You tweeted, Jen tweeted, and then I had a private conversation. I never made it public.
If I have fucking AIDS, it's no one's business.
But Trish, I never made it public. I didn't,
okay.
but I didn't. Can you admit that?
No, we just talked about this. What do you think? Let's see the receipts, which you never brought up.
And then I had a private conversation with a fan,
And then you made that public and made a public video, and now I'm speaking out and I'm defending myself, and it's somehow my fault and I'm bringing this up, and why am I doing this? You literally did this. You did all of this.
And we just hear that so much, like publicly calling Alex James a bad person, but then wanting to privately apologize to him. And I'm never going to publicly defend Curtis Lepore. How about don't ever defend Curtis Lepore? And then the other thing is, why did you put this public? Of course, Jessi would go public with these clips and would say this thing about me publicly, but not say it to me privately. And Jessi makes a good point. She says that dealing with Gabbie Hanna in private is extremely difficult and scary. And I can say from firsthand experience, hell yes, that is true. This was one of those moments in the video where I was shaking my head. Yep. When Jessi said, Gabbie will bombard you. Gabbie will hit below the belt. It's all so true about Gabbie Hanna. She says and does things just to try to hurt you or steamroll you. At least that was my experience. I don't think I got a word in edgewise in that phone call. She proves that by completely discounting the one thing that I tried to say 3 times to her. And I know I'm jumping around here, but kind of going back to that story time that was about Jessi. Jessi said, if you keep this up, I'm going to have to defend myself, which Gabbie took to mean blackmail. And it's interesting. It's funny because I talked to Gabbie about this too during that time that we were speaking, I think on the phone call. I remember I had to explain to Gabbie that Jessi is going to be hurt by the story time you make about her, even if you don't name her publicly. That doesn't have a bearing on whether or not it just hurts to be called names. It doesn't matter if it's public who this is about or if it's private. It's still hurtful. Gabbie doesn't get that because that's something that I tried to explain about myself. And it's probably in my video where I talked about the whole Gabbie stuff, but I said something along the lines of, just like I explained about the Jessi story, just because you don't mention somebody's name doesn't mean it doesn't hurt them. And she takes that to be blackmail when Jessi says like, hey, I'm going to have to defend myself. Everybody is entitled to defend themselves if something is said about them that's untrue. It doesn't matter if you didn't say her name, Gabbie. And by the way, like, people figure shit out. But I think the reason that she saw that as blackmail is because Gabbie doesn't see defense as defense. When she says defending myself or my fans are defending me, she's very much talking about offense. I've said this before. She's not defending herself when she says she's defending herself. Defending yourself is what I did in that video that I keep referencing. I went in front of the camera and I said, look, this is actually the things that happened. And here is the proof that these are the things that happened. This is what was said about me and it was untrue. Here is how I can show you that it's untrue. That's defending myself. All the shit that Gabbie does, the vengeful stuff, the sending hate mobs, bringing up lies about Jen Dent, R-wording a little girl, all this stuff that she does to get at people, to hurt people, to make people cry, to bring people to their knees.
She definitely did make me cry once. If you see people who aren't working in the industry or aren't liked in the industry or they don't have a lot of friends in the industry, there's always a reason why. The person who usually cries wolf the hardest is the wolf themselves.
That's defending herself to Gabbie, because to her, it's settling the score a little bit for the hurt that she feels inside. If she can see that you're hurting, that you're down, that you are crying, that you are hating life for a moment, then she settled the score a little bit, and it's just defending herself. Again, deplorable. But I think a perfect example of this is that when Jessi was starting to make sense in these private conversations, that's when Gabbie says, I think that we should just deal with each other through our lawyers. We can't talk directly with each other. And immediately after that says, but dude, Jen raped a little girl though? That's dark. Have you seen the evidence though? Again, it's dark. Fuck that. If anybody wants to talk about the false essay allegations against Jen Dent, they can talk to Jen Dent, they can talk to me, they can talk to any of my friends online because we were the ones that were there, that listened to that guy, Adam Dow. I'm calling out his fucking name. That fucking dude in Australia, the one who made up this rumor about Jen Dent. It was not something that needed to be taken to Jessi, and it certainly didn't need to be taken to Jessi in such a way that was just meant to get at her, just meant to hurt her, just meant to upset her, because you know, Gabbie, you know that you knew it was not true. Gabbie fans, you guys knew that that was not true. And for sure, Gabbie is at least a little bit smarter than you guys. And so for her to claim that she tells her fans not to like go fight for her, but then her evidence for that is that she actually says to her fans like, hey, like, I know you want to defend me, but these people are dangerous. These people included me, but focused on Jen Dent. These people are dangerous. I've heard about the allegations against Jen Dent. These people are dangerous. Stay away. And what a fucked up thing for her fans not only to do. I don't know if this Australian dude was a Gabbie fan, but he certainly was hobnobbing with them, and they definitely took his lead in spreading that rumor like wildfire. Hey, fan that said those words, I'm not taking responsibility for whatever fallout happens to you as a result of your own consequences. Half of you have no idea what that's about. It's okay. We move on. It's just fucking deplorable. It's deplorable to make those allegations and then to make a mockery of it when you know it's not true. Ugh, and if that's what you have to do in order... Gabbie Hanna, Jen Dent is such a bad person, right? Jen Dent's awful. Then why the fuck do you need to perpetuate something that you know is false in order to make her look bad? If she's that bad, she should be able to do so on her own. And yet you can't figure out how to make Jen look bad without stating something that is just untrue. And that says something about your judge of character. Gabbie, what you are failing to recognize is that SA is one of the absolute worst things that any person can do to another. Child SA is arguably the worst thing that somebody could do to another. You don't get that. I don't think that Gabbie understands that SA is a bad thing. I'm sorry, I don't think she really understands. I got some thought. Now this is all just coming off the top of my head. So here we go. Let's hop on this ride. All the world wants Gabbie to recognize is that SA is bad, and that some of the behaviors that she displayed around the time the TMZ article broke about Curtis and Jessi, Gabbie was displaying the behavior of an R-word apologist. She just was. Surely by this point you've Googled the definition of R-word apology, and it's not an official word in the Oxford English Dictionary or the Merriam-Webster Dictionary or either dictionary. But for who coined the term, it refers to any behavior that really minimizes R-word in any sense, to include making it out to be not that big of a deal.
You do understand, and I know that you know this. When that story dropped, every single person was saying that you lied. Everyone. And I'm not saying it's right. And the fact that I'm being like...
Are you kidding me? Is that your justification?
No, just if you truly didn't want me to use the clips, if you truly didn't want me to talk about your trauma, then you should have just fucking left me alone. She wouldn't be trying so hard to weaponize her trauma against me, saying, don't talk about me and my trauma, don't make me relive my trauma. Nobody did that but Jessi. It was a really fucking confusing situation and really difficult to navigate. And I was very isolated because I was Jessi's friend. And nobody fucked with me because I was Jessi's friend. So I heard him out. If you think that hearing Curtis tell his side of the story makes me a bad person, okay, we're just not gonna see eye to eye. But if they were together and that she had previously told him something and there was a misunderstanding, I think that would probably be a different story.
Or to claim that it is over-reported or misreported. And that's exactly what Gabbie has done. Gabbie has, first of all, this all started with Gabbie claiming that Jessi was a liar and that this happens way too many times in her hometown. This happens with thousands of women filing false reports that her police department in her hometown is overrun, over-reported. misreported. And to consider how many times Jessi Smiles has demanded that Gabbie stop talking about her essay, Jessi's essay, and the fact that Gabbie can continue to casually talk about it, to think that it's appropriate to discuss consent and what would make this like maybe a little more okay. Just to say things like, Jessi, nobody believed you. It's not like his friends R-worded you. Again, like I said, I'm going off the top of my head right now, but there are so many examples where Gabbie says things that minimize the severity of Jessi's essay, but by proxy, essay in general. I should say R-word in general. She's minimizing it. And so because of that, Gabbie Hanna not only acted like an R-word apologist. Jessi said she wasn't going to call Gabbie an R-word apologist. I'm going to call her an R-word apologist. And Gabbie can't do shit about that because that is demonstrably true. In those tweets, if you want to take me to court, dude, there is a way to pull up old deleted tweets. And Gabbie herself has admitted that she made tweets that were insensitive and in defense of Curtis Lepore in 2015. But on top of that, the way she's behaved ever since has minimized the severity of R-word, unless she's talking about when it happened to her. And even then, I don't know that she understands the severity of it, even when it's happened to her. So I was going to say imply, to straight up, to just say, to claim, to accuse Jen Dent of doing this to anybody, much less a child. And in the way that she did it was making a mockery of that topic, of potentially the most serious topic for anyone ever. She's making a mockery of in these text messages to Jessi. Oh my God. Oh yeah, totally forgot. She even said in emails to Jessi, or Jessi confronted Gabbie about Gabbie telling Richie that Jessi was a slut. And in Gabbie's emails, she says, well, everybody calls you that. So just file that under all the ways in which Gabbie Hanna shows us that she is filled with internalized misogyny, performative feminism, and R-word apology. But women supporting women, Gabbie. Women supporting women. What about when it's a woman?
Hey guys, I know you like to say that women are having a mental breakdown and blame any type of expression of emotions or defending themselves as being mentally incompetent and clearly going through something.
And then whenever you finally stand up for yourself, they say you're having a breakdown. You're a fucking monster. You're a bitch.
There is a huge astronomical difference between having crazy bitch moments and being a crazy bitch.
You mean Miss 4K views on your fucking makeup tutorial? Miss 4K views on your commentary piece a week ago? Yeah, I just went and checked. I'm talking about you for attention. You talk about me, you get millions. I talk about you, I get still millions, but not because of you.
Over what somebody who's already known for being problematic, known for being psycho, literally a weird girl.
What is it, you manipulative, narcissistic bitch? You're a manipulative bitch, and I'm done dealing with it.
I have a lot of stories about this friend in particular, but I think that this is the first one where I was like, oh, you're psychotic.
Actually means I'm finally healthy. You fucking sick, twisted bitch.
That's the point that she loves to make whenever people mistreat Gabbie, is that it's because she's a woman. Guess what? Jessi's a woman, Gabbie. Oh, good God. All right, this is where I have to cut myself off for this part. Let's get nice and spicy in the next video that I'm hoping to have to you guys in just a couple of days. But rest assured, this conversation is not over. So get used to seeing my little face, or if you do want to see it, if you're looking forward to what I have to say on these matters and or others, please feel free to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. I super appreciate that. I need to make two endings. To you, the one person who's watching, who's not me, thank you so much for watching to the end of this video and hopefully the end of this two-parter. And I love you, dude. Thanks. Bye.